Sticking with football as we welcome you back to the SportsMax Zone. Our reporter Brian Peter caught up with the JFF First Vice President Raymond Anderson, asking him about the issue of the purchasing and the collection of match day tickets. It's understood several patrons missed the kickoff in the Nations League game against Suriname at the National Stadium in Kingston last Tuesday. And yeah, Anderson was asked about that.
The last two home fixtures at the National Stadium, some fans experienced difficulty in acquiring match tickets both online and at the venue. Ahead of the Suriname fixture last week, a small group of frustrated fans were stuck at the main gate and the ticket booth just minutes before kickoff due to issues surrounding the verification and distribution of tickets. Vice President of the Jamaica Football Federation, Raymond Anderson, who's in charge of operations, sought to explain the reason for the mix-up.
What really happened is that we anticipate a lower turnout, and we did reduce the number of windows that open. And based on that, because we always going to have challenge with technical thing, because we're going all online, right? So electronic tickets. So that's one of the things. So where there was a little issue, we didn't have enough windows open to put those challenges aside and have the flow. So the flow was slowed down, and we correct that.
Anderson apologized and promised that those issues will be rectified going forward.
Again, on behalf of the JFF, I apologize for really what happened last week, but as you're aware, we were anticipating a smaller crowd.
The home game against Mexico drew more spectator support than the Suriname game a week earlier. We spoke to some patrons who say they had little or no problems getting inside the venue.
Honestly, I had no problem today. It was smooth sailing, probably because I came early, before the rush and all of that, because I came about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and it was smooth sailing.
Very convenient having it on your phone, having it in your email, having it in your text messages. So yes, I would prefer them continuing this process.
Oh no, we purchased it as a company, so our staff, about 20 of us are here to support Team Jamaica.
And how was it to collect the tickets? You never had any issues?
It's online, we did it online, so the e-process was really easy for us.
However, one supporter did acknowledge the flaws within the system and voiced his discontent with the process of collecting tickets.
It wasn't pleasant. Well, let me use pleasant because I had a problem collecting my tickets. As you can see, almost game time, and I paid for the tickets, waited on a confirmation to my phone, got no confirmation, had to then go around the line and get some buns, which I think the buns would have made more sense earlier. Make a lot more sense.
How long have you been out there waiting?
Probably 10 to 15 minutes, because I joined the line, and then while joining the line I realized it wasn't going to be anytime soon, so I had to ask somebody to purchase the tickets for me. And then while I asked somebody, I still had to wait because I paid the money and then no tickets. So then they had to call me around to get some buns, which the buns would have make a whole heap more sense.
Only time and a bigger crowd will tell us whether the JFF has indeed cured the ticketing problem.
Yeah, so Lance, respond for me to what the first Vice President said about the reason for the log jam of spectators trying to access the National Stadium for the Suriname game.
Well, I don't think sometimes to predict how attractive a football match is to a football fan could be a difficult task. And we're coming out of a period where fans have been starved for live sport for over 2 years, approximately 2 years because of COVID-19. And the Reggae Boys have a new coach, players like Leon Bailey and so on are playing. I would think that the Jamaica Football Federation would have prepared themselves for, a crowd. I don't think they should have narrowed their thinking as to what the possibilities were as far as spectator turnout is. Very disappointed about this, George, because we have globally in sport moved in certain directions. The Caribbean hosted World Cup cricket in 2007. That's 15 years ago. And a certain electronic and digital approach was used even from then. And it is astonishing to me that we are still behind the 8 ball in organizing things like these, because this is part of what efficiency is, and you've got to make your fans happy. because they are the people coming through the turnstiles and putting some whatever financial boost you can get to your coffers.
So I find it amazing. You did not have enough bodies to cover the ticketing windows because you anticipated a small crowd. The stadium holds how many, Lance? What's the capacity?
25,000 or so.
All right. Do you know how many people attended the Suriname game?
Hundreds, I think.
3,112.
3,000.
There were 3,112 fans inside the Suriname game. And that's the game that Mr. Anderson says they didn't have enough people to sell 3,112 tickets. Let's assume that everybody who was in there, well, I don't think that counts the media personnel. So 3,112 tickets. Are you crazy? Look, what should have happened if it is that the JFF wants to save on paying ticket attendance? What would have happened is this. You call a meeting at the JFF and say in the week leading up to the game, listen, we're going to do some days off or half days because the time that I'm giving you, I'm going to take back because I want you and you and you to come and sell tickets at the game. You don't have to pay a soul, Lance. It's your staff. They are doing JFF business. Do it that way. And I know people will say, oh, well, you know, they have a solution for everything. Yes, because we see how other people do things, especially people who are cash-strapped. And then you are cash-strapped and then you get into this business of the quantum of the payout to Mr. Wind without looking at other options or having a committee consider how much to shell out. Then you realize how important it is for you as an organization that is skint to save every dollar you have. So that should have been the approach. But you can't tell me that to sell 3,112 tickets for the Suriname game, you were faced with a situation where you didn't have enough hands to sell the tickets. So how many people are selling tickets there? One?
I would think not.
It is ridiculous, and it is. I know Raymond Anderson apologizes, but Raymond Anderson, you have to do better as the man in charge of operations, especially. The JFF has to do better. The solution that I gave just now is not a solution that is a solution that is the product of a genius mind, even though I love my mind. Raymond Anderson, you would agree that, oh yeah, that's a sensible option. And there are many other options that you could have come up with. Why didn't you use one of those? It is not good enough. So, if you notice what Gerard Morrissey said at the end of that rap, the true test of whether or not the ticketing system has been cured is when a big crowd comes to the stadium. And then you have to be selling 20,000 or 18,000 or more. That's when you're going to really test it. But it is unacceptable. And it makes us look amateur.
The problem's reared its ugly head from before, even when the COVID-19 restrictions had limited the numbers that would have been allowed, and the online ticketing and so on had been a problem from late last year when they resuscitated fans coming to the stadium. And I'm thinking that it should have been addressed in a more efficient way to ensure that whatever hiccups they had initially wouldn't be protracted and wouldn't be coming into the middle of 2022.
You know, there's something I unconsciously do when I go to stadia, if you may, abroad. Every time I go into one, I compare how long it takes me to get in there relative to how long it takes me to get into the national stadium. Look, I don't know how many times you've been to the stadium as a patron. I haven't been there many times as a patron, but I've been there many times. You've been 39 times more than me as a media, as a worker, as you're working.
Yes.
So the times, if I've been to the stadium 20 times, I've been there 19 times. In fact, no. The only time I've ever gone to the stadium and paid, Lance, I've never gone to the stadium and paid. So when I went in high school, I was competing at champs, and then I went for girls' champs to support the girls, and we went in free because we were students and thing. And then after that, it was in my professional life. So I've never paid $1 to go into the stadium. But sometimes it's difficult to go in as a accredited media. For patrons, regular patrons, people always complain about how long it takes to get into the stadium. Lance, I've been inside the Staples Center, the home of the Lakers. I've been inside the United Center, the home of the Bulls. I've been inside the stadium that the former Washington Redskins played in to watch the NFL in December. I've been to horse racing in Singapore in big stadiums. I've been to horse racing in Malaysia. I've been into stadiums in South Africa. I've been to stadiums in London. Nowhere else does it take as long to get in. Lance, do you want me to talk about getting out? To get out of the Staples Center takes about 7 minutes.
Yeah.
If so long. And that's when you're up in the peanut gallery, in the cheap seats, where the foreign media is, you have to work your way down with equipment, so it takes about 7 minutes. Yeah, and that's long. People in the regular sections, easy. It will take you several minutes to get out of the National Stadium. And there's just something about stadium management in Jamaica that is just backward. Has to change.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you, George.
Backward
has to improve, and the fans need to feel more valued.
Yes, sir.
Need to be more
Yes, sir.
valued.
Yes, sir. Back with more after the break. Thank you for watching SportsMax on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay informed.